Now, let us move on to the next part of our discussion, and we're going to look into the matters or the fundamentals of another concept, and that is called the loop or the iteration. Now, the looping part is important because we need to make our code far more optimized. So, suppose you have a list, and we also looked at how to create a list using the array. So we created a list using the array concept and the array construct, and we created a list of pages. Now, suppose you want to show to the user on the web page that you have got this many pages. Suppose you have got 3, or suppose you have got 10 pages inside the list. Now, rather than typing that 10 times by yourself, you can actually use the you can actually go for using a loop or the iteration, and you can tell the program to do the exact same thing as you would have done if the loop didn't exist. Suppose, let's take the example of that 10 pages. We created previously, we have seen how to create that array, and we created that array of pages. Now we will tell the program that take each of the elements from that list, or take each of the pages name, and then list them accordingly onto the web page so that the user can see it. So let's do that. Now, the looping or iteration has 3 main constructs, and there is a different flavor, or there is a different format for using looping for arrays. And we're going to look into for loops and for each loops, which is the flavor of for loop, and we will be looking at that and how we can manipulate arrays using loops. So that is going to be the essential part for a program development using PHP. So let's erase this off, we don't need them. Okay. Now let us get back to the array construct and let us create an array. So simply, as we have already seen, so the 2 main differences between the for each and the for loop is that we are obviously going to look at the syntax or the vocabulary of that loop, but let me just give you a brief idea about the loop that we are going to discuss about. Now, the for loop uses some sort of indexation. Every array has a definite, or every array has integer index number associated with the element. Suppose if I create this home, it's a page, then I create another one like shop, then I create another one. All these are pages. Let us consider them this elements, these array elements, to be the pages inside our web application. So let's create another one called blog. Let's create another one called about us. Then we can also include something like contact us. Then maybe we can go for something like portfolio. And I guess we have got a pretty decent list right now, and we can use this list to iterate through, and we can do something like, we can tell the program to do the iteration for us. Now, the iteration actually means something like, if you have, we used this echo command previously. Now, inside this echo command, we can pass in the array element. So suppose we want to show the first element from this array. So we're going to use the index of 0, and let's save this. Let's get back to the browser. Let's save this. So the first thing that we see in here is that we echoed out the value of the first index inside the pages array. Now, as I have already told you, that the indexation or the numbering system inside the array always starts from 0. So the first element will have an index of 0 the second one will have an index of 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, then 5. So the indexation numbering starts from 0 and it ends at 5 in my case. So suppose if you add more pages to your array, then it will increment accordingly, or you'll have more indexes. So we actually can't see the indexes right now. The indexes are used by the program behind the scenes to tell the compiler in what slot of the memory the elements are defined. So that's why when we call the array and we pass in the index through this square brackets, then it can identify that we have stored a value, a certain value in the index number of 0 inside the memory. So that's why when we echoed out the index through the array, when we passed this index to the array, then it printed out that corresponding value on our browser. So if you wanted to print out all of these 5, I guess we have got 6 elements in here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 elements. Remember that when you count the total, or when you want to know the total number of elements inside the array, then you will obviously start counting like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. But numbering indexation starts with 0. The first element will always have an index of 0. So that's why it's going to start and increment like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So what we're trying to do in here is something like echo. Let me show you pages. Then I want to print the second element in the array.